Yeah. Well, like I say, but Keyshawn way more sharper, way more polished, and just way better. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to. And this guy ain't never fought no. He did fight Shakur, but Shakur just kept him in a way that Shakur didn't ever even put no real hurt on him though. You know what I'm saying? Because Shakur just boxed him and kept him where he couldn't do nothing. But Keyshawn gonna destroy that man. You know what I'm saying? It's just two different styles of fighting. That's all. You know what I'm saying? So when I say that, he ain't been hit with no blistering combinations. He ain't been hit to the body like how he gonna be hit to the body by Keyshawn. You know, so his whole thing is based off him beating Valenzuela. And then his second claim was that he fought an injured Shakur Stevenson, which ain't his fault. But hell, it's only his fault because he didn't do nothing with the injured man. He didn't go after him. He didn't take advantage of nothing. And that was it. So you know what I'm saying? His reputation, it's that's basically what he getting this off for, his reputation. And it was all Valenzuela. Really?
Ricky Dicky, thank you for the $2. Keyshawn's a front runner. What would you say about that?
What do you mean by that?
Front runner. What is that like? That you show you show you show like you're a dog in the first quarter of the fight, and then leading on, you just don't do anything else.
Well, who
Front
that
runner.
motherfucker watching? I don't know who the fuck he. That's why I wanted to say clarify. I don't know what he's talking about. Keyshawn, shit, he stayed. You ain't seen Keyshawn get tired, and you see he throwing hard punches to the end from 1 round to 10. So, I don't know what he's talking about. But we ain't. Criticism comes with everything that you do, and who gives a fuck what he's saying? Because the shit ain't true. If you had something valid to say, that'll make sense. I know fighters that's front runners. I know fighters that start off good for the first 5 rounds and then they fade. It's fighters like that, and I ain't gonna name them, but Keyshawn ain't one of them.
Some people believe that Keyshawn is a weight bully for the division. Do you feel like he could make the weight for a while at 135?
Man, perfect. I talked to him about that because I see it in the news. I say, why they keep saying Keyshawn's so big? Keyshawn not that big. Keyshawn not that big of a guy. He's a slim guy. He's not that big. Keyshawn is a slim guy. I think he the perfect lightweight. And I just figured that based on his age, what he 26, and he going up, and he been making that lightweight limit for a long time now. But I think he doing real good with it. But again, when you have that kind of fame and superstardom that Keyshawn is approaching, and as well as maturing, I can see him going up to 40. He said 47, but like I say, I feel like he could be the Bruce Lee at 40. Bruce Lee was what they say was 140, right? That's what they say, 5'7", 140. No ounces of fat or something like that. And I feel like Keyshawn could be the same way. Bruce Lee at 140, but he said at 35. I think the same way. I think the same way. Keyshawn is perfect fighting specimen, and I think the sky's the limit for that kid. I don't see nobody beating him.
Is this the biggest puncher Keyshawn Davis has been that came across?
Outside of Mandueno, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That I could just off the top of my head. You know what I
How
mean?
about
So
skills?
skills. Hmm. Well, I think Pedraza had some skills, except he was a little faded. Like I say, De Los Santos don't really impress me. He's kind of a wild guy. He's kind of wild with his punches, but he got speed and he got power, so that makes him dangerous. But I think it's a perfect fight for Keyshawn Davis's first title defense. I think it's the perfect fight for him.
This is the most dangerous fight in his career,
I guess you could say that. I guess you could say that's his most dangerous. You could say
right?
that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that,
The
but they all dangerous.
age, you got the age. He's powerful, speed. Obviously, people are throwing shade at the fact that he's had almost a 2-year layoff and coming off of an injury as well.
I don't know what injury he's coming off of, but at the same time, who fault is that? Who fault is that? And when you look around at the landscape, Keyshawn gonna get killed for fighting anybody. Who would I'm asking anybody who would Keyshawn fight outside of the with that they have that they don't have plans for? So it would be Morataya, right? Which they angling him for the IBF. I done said this a million times. Then it
Mm-hmm.
would be Zapata, who's fighting Shakur for the WBC championship. So who else out there really is out there? There's really nobody out there. Mason is too young. He's too young in the game just yet. 35, 35, 35. You know what? Now they do got that Cuban. I did say Heredia or whatever. He kind of ranked high. That Cuban. But like I say, it's nobody that really.
The one that was calling on Shakur?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to think of guys, and I don't really think that much of him, but so I'm just trying to think of guys that come to my name to think about who would he fight because the lightweight division really ain't. It don't really have nobody for real. You know what I'm saying? Besides Keyshawn, Shakur, they the biggest stars in the division, and I mean, obviously they on two different trajectories doing their thing. So shit, like I say, Keyshawn, and at the same time, Keyshawn is good for boxing. Keyshawn is good for boxing, for his personality, for his fighting style and everything. So when you see Keyshawn, you're gonna be entertained. No matter who he fighting, Keyshawn gonna be entertained. And that's what we looking for is entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Just like in a way. Okay, we didn't know the fuck Cardenas was. We don't know who the fuck was Cardenas. He wasn't nobody. He didn't make no big splash before he fought him, or the other dude that fought him, or any of the other guys that in a way been fighting. Them guys ain't had no splash. You just happy to see in a way. That's it. Inoue ain't had no. Who the fuck Inoue fought that had besides Fulton? That was it. That was it. And okay, so that solidified all the stuff that he did because he beat a fighter like Stephen Fulton, who was a unified champion, who was and a solid fighter and had some experience, and he beat pretty easy, handily. So, but anyway, like I said, don't double standard this thing. In a way, fights good fighters and he puts on a show. Keyshawn, I'm looking for him to do the same thing.
Mm, mm. Um, Richardson Hitchens feels like this is a big skill gap from where he's the matchmaking that Keyshawn has been having for till this day till now. He's also shared the ring with Edwin de los Santos, so he really believes that Keyshawn's in an actual real fight. Um, but yeah, that's just Richardson, what Richardson believes. I feel like that's a fight. Eventually, they're gonna end up fighting at some point in time.
Do they not get along?
Yeah, I
Are they
think
not
so.
friends?
Yeah.
Okay, they're not friends. Okay, well, like I say, but Hitchison ain't been fighting nobody, no, for real. Hitchison ain't fought nobody for real. You see, he was terrified to get, and I'm not trying to knock him in a sense like that, but I'm saying he wasn't so apt to fight Matias when he was a killer. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And so that goes to be said. Richard Hitchison, and he struggled with Limos. No matter how much, whatever you say, he did get up in the fight, and a lot of people thought he lost that fight and he has done nothing to redeem that. Who he beat for the title? Who he beat for the title?
Uh, Liam Paro.
Okay, and it was a close fight. It wasn't no shutout, washout fight. It wasn't no even an exciting fight. So you know what I'm saying? Richard Hitchenson's, some might be. I don't want to say it's a little jealousy, but it could be a little jealousy there. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, it could be a little jealousy there. So that way, when I don't like somebody, I can find any way to scrutinize them. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. If if Richard Hitchson had the pizzazz of a Keyshawn Davis in and out of the ring, maybe he would have a better career path. You know what I'm saying? But Richard Hitchson probably like the stepchild right now, 140 for real. Richard Hitchens like stepchild.
But you, what does that mean?
He just he
The
like the odd
stepchild.
man out. He like the odd man out for real. You know what I'm saying? Richard Hitchson has not had a breakout performance. Puello beat Gary Russell. Gary Russell had a breakout performance against Rayo. Tio is the true champion at 140. So like I say, Richard Hitchison, he just solid. Richard Hitchison don't look like nothing. He don't have blazing hand speed. He don't have. What do Richard Hitchison do that make you really want to watch Richard Hitchison? Because if you watch him, he can box. That's it. So you know what I'm saying? When you at the top, it's lonely up there. People always gonna be trying to push for you and push you down. And but Keyshawn, like I say, he lighten them up. So shout out to the businessman. Keep lighting them up, champ. We gonna keep lighting them up, man. You can't hate on the businessman. He gets the job done.